Hello, my name is ADRIAN wINKYBOTTOM, and I am here today to tell you about my new 6 inches. These 6 inches are so great. I can finish the race quickly, I can beat off enemies with it. The Odin 3 is in fact no joke. This is a serious device with serious intentions. We have a bit of a problem with the chipset being so new, which makes it difficult to openly recommend this as the best emulation handheld on the market. But if compatibility keeps progressing the way it is, this will be, give it a few months, the best emulation device in the world. I'd like to take a few seconds to thank PCBWare for sponsoring today's video. They have a fully functioning online ordering service for ordering your custom PCBs, but also machining, metal, CNC milling, and a bunch of other stuff that you can go check out on their website. They have a projects page, which is really nice to see what other community members are building, and in doing so, you're able to download what they're doing and build your own stuff and take it to the next level. I've done some lovely 3D prints of shells for building my own custom Game Boy using the RGB30. So PCB is a wonderful playground for nerds. Please go check them out. Thank you PCBWare for sponsoring today's video. Let's jump straight into if this is worth the money. I think the Pro version poses the best value. A bit more RAM and a bit more storage. It's $399 USD before shipping. The upcoming Retroid Pocket 6, which is on pre-order, is $259 for their 12GB, 256GB option. AYN's own Portal, which is the older chipset, is $399 USD for the 12GB, but it has 512 gigs of storage. So both of these options are Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 devices, which is a tried and trusted platform for emulation and handles a lot of PC games, Switch games, and even a bit of PS3. This 8 Elite chip in the Odin 3 is very powerful, as you will see in my benchmarks, but we are having niggles across the board, with even some RetroArch cores not working for old games. My PC game emulation testing was a very mixed bag, with some games that don't play well on other handhelds playing fine on the Odin 3, but then other games like Doom didn't load at all, and Stray and Resident Evil 7 struggle with graphical anomalies. And they play okay. They play okay to well on the 8 Gen 2 platform. So my point here is that right now in November 2025, I really want to say just buy this, because I will get some sweet affiliate kickbacks through the holidays. But alas, I shall remain poor and destitute as I hold fast to my stupid principles. Principles. The Odin 3 is fantastic in the Pro version for $399 USD with the 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. That 256 does get used up very quickly when doing PC emulation. You'll get more storage with AYN's own Portal and more compatibility with both the Portal and the upcoming Retroid Pocket 6. I've put affiliate links for both of these in the description, so maybe I can still catch a whiff of that sweet affiliate income. But the Odin 3 has a lot of redeeming qualities over something like the Portal. It all boils down to your preference. I think that's what makes this all so exciting. A year or so ago, the Odin 2 was the ultimate option, and we all wanted that because it was the only device of its sort. Now we have options, and I will touch on some of those options throughout this video, but let's jump into some benchmark testing to show you that brute force power of the Odin 3. By the way, I have the max version, which is a 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage variety. With all the devices set to high performance mode, I ran the following tests. 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme, which tests short bursts of GPU power, the Wildlife Stress test, which tests the GPU for 20 minutes, and the Geekbench 6 CPU test. You can see the numbers on the screen, but let's just summarize this for you. We have a considerable jump in performance across the board with the 8 Elite chip in the Odin 3. Now, bear in mind that the G2 in the RetroPocket G2 absolutely crushed Retroid's old Snapdragon 865 chip. So now you've got a chipset with the 8 Elite that not only crushes Retroid's G2, but also our long-standing emulation champion chipset, the 8 Gen 2. So here, on paper, we have more GPU power and more CPU power than ever before. However, once we start firing up some games, it gets spicy. The 8 Elite at times has me elated because it's crushing a PC game that usually doesn't run well, but then it will fail miserably at a game like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which at the very least runs on the 8 Gen 2. Rise of the Tomb Raider won't start at all, which is infuriating because the game that comes before that is playing perfectly, and I plan to play through all 3 of these games through the holidays, so I'm a bit annoyed by that. Doom, which runs on the G2 and the 8 Gen 2 chipsets, won't run on the 8 Elite. And there's just a lot of ups and downs as you go through your Steam library on GameHub or Game Native. Low-end PC games seem to all work flawlessly, which is lovely, so we haven't completely regressed into the dark ages with compatibility on the 8 Elite. And this trend carries through to Switch emulation, PS2 emulation, and everything else. Although all the old games do play, you'll have issues like cores not starting and needing to restart, or perhaps cores not working at all, as some people have reported. But you will get all your old games, like your 8-bit and 16-bit games running. And I have used Digest-Show as my front end because it's a bit easier to chop and change emulators. And I also like that it allows both internal and external storage to be used easily. Now let's jump away from performance a bit and talk about the hardware and ergonomics and all that jazz. When I first saw this online, I thought, ugh, here we go, another generic design. But when it arrived, I realized it's not generic, it's elegant. That's a fine line, but this rainbow retro gray option with the rounded edges just looks and feels incredible. It reminds me of old tech, but also has its own thing going on. These curved glass edges meeting the plastic definitely add to the elegance of the design, and the fact that they chose to do the less ergonomic design with the option for a grip just suits me fine. I'm glad that they went for a form over function design because it just does look really pretty. Let's talk about the ergonomics for a second. Ergonomics are interesting because if you are not a fan of the whole buy a grip to make it more ergonomic concept, then this is going to annoy you. But I'm a fan of the fact that they have compromised and made form over function. So you've got the rounded edges and it looks pretty. And if with a big flared grip, the Steam Deck is not a pretty handheld, but it's very ergonomic. This is form over function, makes it look pretty. Still got the bulges on the back, very nice big triggers on it, but it's not the best ergonomics in the world because if you put your fingers here and you want to reach for your D-pad and your joystick, they should be there. So that's ideal ergonomics. This is compromising to make it more compact. So you're getting a very powerful device, but not ideal ergonomics. And that, I think, is a critical factor for some people who are like spending all this money and it's not perfect. But if you're the sort of person like me who would rather have something that's like a beautiful thing and you can buy a grip later if you really, really want to, then that's great. Also, I love the idea of having a compact device that can emulate my Steam library. So for me, it's a happy compromise of all those factors. And then these controls. Yes, these controls. So I have things to say because these action buttons on the Portal, and I never used the Odin 2. The Odin 2 Mini has got nice action buttons, but still quite clackety because they claim that Retroid isn't part of them, but Retroid action buttons are also very clackety. These are lower profile and very quiet. I've been playing in bed at night, playing through Tomb Raider, and it's just absolutely silent. Where the silence falls flat on its face is these very clicky shoulder buttons, and the Portal has got absolutely silent shoulder buttons, much like AYN, who love to do nice silent shoulder buttons, and so for some reason they've gone for the clicky ones. It's very responsive, nice for sort of competitive gaming and that sort of thing, but it is noisy. D-pad is their dome switch D-pad, which is great. Another comment I want to make that is these are not full-size joysticks, and this is a little thing that I would like to major on with a device at this price point. Is a device that has got an 80 elite chipset with the promise of emulating PC games. It should have full-size joysticks in at this point. There should be some kind of compromise that can be made to put full-size joysticks in, maybe countersync them a bit, but to have these joysticks. I was playing Skyforce on my AYN 2S, which is a big PC handheld with great, I mean, it's an unfair advantage because it's some of the nicest joysticks I've had on any device. But I was playing on that device, and then this arrived, and I immediately installed Skyforce and started playing on here, and immediately noticed the twitchiness. That is a shmup with the jet that flies around, and I could immediately notice that I didn't have the same control I had before, and I never even thought that I needed precision control with a game like that. And so you do lose a bit of control with these joysticks, and I do think that's a critical factor for a lot of people. Another very nice fact is that these triggers are big, they've got a nice tension to them, and they wrap around. For me, they are perfect, absolutely perfect trigger buttons. Well done, AYN, on that. I'm going to cut to a demo of the audio, and YouTube's not going to translate this, but I need to say the audio on this handheld is absolutely superb. My wife is not into this sort of thing. You know, I do this all the time and she's just not interested. And I said to her, this sounds really good, doesn't it? And she's looked at me and said, yeah, that sounds really good, because she's obviously heard all these things being played in the lounge every day of our lives for the last 2 years. So to have such good speakers on a device like this is really nice. You could put this in your kitchen and listen to music with it, and it would be fine. It would be like a little nice little radio to have in your kitchen. To get to the screen, 6 inches, jokes aside, does feel like the perfect size. With this screen hugging design, it feels smaller than anything I have seen with a 6-inch screen. You can still see your PC games clearly, but it's also not obnoxiously large like the 7-inch Portal. As you know, this comes with a 120 Hertz screen, so you can do 120 Hertz things. Also, it has a fingerprint scanner that I find works really well, and I just like that as an added little feature to the device. Okay, let's talk about my likes and dislikes of this. Okay, so as I have been using the device, I've made a list of the things I like and the things I dislike. The dislikes is very short actually, but important nonetheless, so let's get it out here. I wrote things I hate for dramatic effect. Not full-size sticks, and they're twitchy, as I mentioned before, and I do think that is like a deal breaker for a lot of people. We have to be critical because this thing is expensive, and if you know, we are using this now for PC emulation. This isn't just a PSP, like a beefed up PSP emulator anymore, or even a Switch emulator. This thing is playing proper PC games, and we need precision control. So I do think that is a bit of a fail. Like the Portal, which is this huge device, came with the same pots, like the mechanism inside, and lower profile sticks, and then they eventually shipped bigger sticks to go on top of the pots, which helps a bit. It's not full-size joysticks, and that's just something you can't get around. For this price point, I just don't think that's acceptable. And then powerful chip that's limited by compatibility, emulators, stuff. So we are already limited by like PS3 emulators, PS2 emulators. The Switch emulator is actually fantastic now. PC emulation, those are all very limited emulation systems, and now we're even further limited by a chipset that is struggling with the GPU compatibility. Things I love, and it's actually a very long list. So temper the downsides with these things. Compromise on ergonomics for portability. I like that. I like the fact that it looks cool and it's portable. A 6-inch screen is the perfect size for its purpose. I'm kind of completely convinced that 6-inch is the perfect size. Audio is kind of stupid good. It's crazy how good the audio is. I like the fingerprint sensor, low profile, quiet action buttons. These action buttons really are lovely. Like smashing them, playing Tomb Raider in bed, and you know, just not very noisy at all. And the big triggers are so good, man. These things are just lovely, like really, really, really nice triggers. I'm so glad they didn't compromise on that, because that really would be awful. And then also, I think the grip is going to be fantastic on here. I didn't like the design at first, like I said, but it's deceptively elegant. I started to like it very quickly after getting it, especially this color. This color is really special. It is something to do with the final touches on the handheld, the shaped glass, the plastics, the curved ends. 120 Hertz don't impress me much, but I know a lot of people that's important. Having the 8 Elite means you're at the bleeding edge of tech, and I think this is the selling point. If you like that sort of thing, if you liked the beginning stages of this where we didn't know what was going to happen from day to day, if you like having a piece of tech like that where tomorrow there might be an entire new app to play around with, or a whole new GPU driver to fiddle with, and it suddenly improves everything. If you want to be on that bleeding edge, this is the device to get. I said to my son, now that I have the Odin 3, he can have my Portal, big 7-inch thing that he can emulate, switch on and all that. He said, can I rather have the Steam Deck, please? He plays Sonic Racing almost exclusively, either on the TV or on the deck itself. And I had a discussion with another retro YouTuber, Retro Game Core, who said the same thing about his son, who is a bit older than mine. Even to travel, it seems the kids are favorable to the deck. And while I get distracted by all these pretty devices, it pains me to say that before buying something like this, you should always consider getting a Steam Deck, bro. I want to end this video on a very important note I want to make about this device. The Steam frame made by Valve, who make the Steam Deck, runs on a Snapdragon 8 series chip. This is a mobile chip that you'd find in a mobile phone or a tablet, which is the same hardware system that's in these AYN and other devices, which means that Valve are actively working on a mobile version of SteamOS. If not, it's already ready to ship, which will work on the same hardware infrastructure that Android does. My question is whether they will simply release an app we can all use on our mobile systems like this AYN, or possibly an entire new SteamOS to replace Android on these ARM-based chips, which will fix the future problem everyone is worried about regarding Google restricting sideloading in the future. Now, this is futuristic speculation, but the reality is that SteamOS is being developed or has already been developed for an ARM-based system. And so it's going to be out there in the world. And you know how developers are. It's going to be ripped out and picked apart, and someone's going to try and put it onto an Android device. So I just find all of that very interesting, and I do feel like this is a bleeding edge tech thing that the 8 Elite does open up for you. All that to say that this AYN Odin 3 does have a very exciting future, but these things are not things that you can take advantage of right now. Right now, you're getting a handheld for $400 USD or even more that has glitches in emulating almost everything, but has moments of sheer brilliance as well. So if you're the sort of person who enjoys being on the bleeding edge of tech and gaming in this way, the Odin 3 may be a very fun option to go for. However, if you are just looking for something that works and plays all of the things, and you're happy with the fact that you don't have all of the power on something like an HN2, then any HN2 like the Retro Pocket 6, the Odin Thor, the Odin 2, the Odin 2 Portal, and other devices will be very satisfying for you to use. So please, if you are going to buy something, click on my links, because I really need affiliate income so I can buy more pretty handhelds that my son will scoff at.